I'm trying to do a quick video based on what we did in class today. So for this first part of moment, we are given that the moment about a point O is equal to the force along the y times the distance A minus the force along the x-axis times the distance B. So that is the formula we are given, and that is the formula you see here. And I'll explain this in class. So this is the first example we have, example 1. We are given a force of 100 Newton and it's applied to the frame. We need to find moment of the force at point O. And we are told that moment of the force at point O is given as such. This is the force on the y-axis, and this is the distance of the force from where moment is taken, which is exactly at point 0. And this is the force on the x-axis, and this B is the distance from O, where moment is taken. So you are technically told that moment from point O will be solved by using this formula, and therefore we can apply that formula to solve for the moment at this point O. So moment at point O, this is the formula we have to apply to solve. So now let us know that to do that we must be able to solve for the force on the x and on the y and multiply by their respective distance from where moment is taken. So technically, I said solution. We know that the force that goes upward are positive. And if we say the force that goes upward are positive, the force that comes downward should be negative. It therefore means we have what? We have to resolve this. This is actually the force, and it has an inclination of hypotenuse 5, and then the force act on 3 along the y-axis and on 4 along the y. It acts on 3 on the y-axis, it acts on 4 on the x-axis. So the force on the y-axis now will become what? Will become that force, which is what? But because the force is coming downward, we say that the upward force is positive. So it is coming downward, it will be having a negative sense. I have 100 Newton because I'm resolving the force on the y-axis. So I have this 3 over this 5, and that is my force on the y-axis. And I can write this with respect to what? Newton. The force is measured in Newton. I have to resolve the force now on the x-axis, this direction is positive. So I have force on the x-axis. That direction is positive, this direction is negative. So I look at that force. It goes towards the x. It goes in this direction. So it is positive on the x-axis. So technically, I have equal to what? I have equal to what? I have the force of 100 Newton times this is along the x direction. So I have 4 over 5 over 5, and that force is measured in Newton. The force is measured in Newton. And if I take my moment along the point O, we know that the force on the y-axis times the distance where moment is taken, A, minus the force on the x-axis times the distance where moment is taken, B. I have this is my force. I have this is my force. But this distance is going to be gotten from the equation. And how will I get the distance? Let me look at the moment. Force of y, I have negative 100 into what? 3 over 5 Newton. So this is the force. Remember, we had to resolve the force to make it perpendicular. So that force is actually, let me indicate this so you can see clearly. So that force is actually negative 100 times 3 over 5. So from the point O, you could see that this is the perpendicular distance. When I draw the line there, this is the perpendicular distance, because this becomes 90 degrees, and therefore that perpendicular distance, as you can see, is 5 meters. And therefore I'll write this distance as what? 5 meters. Now I come now to my force on the x-axis, which we are taking this formula. So there is minus sign there. Minus sign, the force is what? 100 into what? 4 over 5 Newton times what? Let me show you the perpendicular distance now by using this color. I write this as such. It goes in that direction, which is positive sense. I have 100 into what? 4 over 5, which is the force. And what is the perpendicular distance? If I draw this line like this angle become 90 degrees. So therefore, this is the force. That's the direction of the force. So the distance is what? Is 2. So this 2 is the perpendicular distance. So you have, I'll change my color of pen, times 2 meters. But this sign stays negative because we are using this formula which was given. I now explain this in class, why it is negative at this point. I'll explain that in class. And if you simplify this expression, you're going to have moment will give you what? Will give you negative 460 Newton meter. So the force moves in this direction, moves in the direction, and that is how we solve that first problem. So I'll do the second exercise now for you to see, and then I hope you understand this exercise.